Okay, hi. My name is Jay, and I'm from Norwood. Um, my my internship was at UCSB, and I worked in what we call the REEF, which is a hands-on education center, and we try to inform students and the public and families about the marine ecosystem that Santa Barbara has. Let's see. So I did a lot of things during my internship. A lot of it was at the reef, but I spent a little time in a lab with Fern, and we like laser. Hello, there we go. So there's these like little things called sandhoppers, and these are really tiny. They're smaller than like your fingernail, and I had to identify the species by a single leg that they have, and it was very tedious. It took a really long time, and I would go through samples and I'd identify different species that were in the sample. They also like sat me down and we did like a lot of like class time, and I learned a lot of like biology stuff. This is a beautiful representation of a shark. Um, I also learned a lot of like trade skills. This was us doing a lot of like plumbing work because we have to keep the lines clean. I don't think I mentioned this, but I was working at an aquarium, so there was a lot of like water involved. And this is a very messy day. Most of us were like wearing our swimsuits while doing this. Yeah. Let's see. So there were a few different projects going on while I was there. So these guys over here are called abalones, and they're a type of marine snail, and they're reproductively extinct because there's just so few of them, and they're broadcast spawners. And we have a few of them in the reef, and we use them to educate the public. One of the coolest things I learned was how to get these guys off the glass, because like it's so hard. Like people with like lots of muscle will like use spatulas and still won't be able to get them off the glass. And we also are trying to like repopulate the population so that they're not hopefully endangered anymore. Another project going on was the marine heat wave system, and one of my friends, Sophia, was working on it, and she was trying to determine how marine heat waves would affect uni, which is a Japanese delicacy, and how it would affect the urchins' eating habits. So there was like a lot of work with that. This was like what I mostly did when I worked on the project, which was preparing their food, which was very tedious. We'd have to like go out and collect the kelp, and then afterwards we'd have to like remove all of the water, which kelp is like primarily made out of water. So it took a while. We also had to shuck for sample because like near the ocean, they rely on samples to see if the food is safe to eat and if the water quality is safe to be in. So we would shuck mussels and send them into the government for them to be tested, and they'd be like, yeah, the water here is safe. This is like a picture of one of my friends tagging the abalones, some of our research abalones, and this is just like a random white abalone. There we go. Things I did in my free time. I didn't have much free time, but when I did, you can guarantee I was at the beach. Oh wait, this is the wrong slide. Okay, so there was something called Tech Trek, and essentially it took a lot of girls that were rising 8th graders that wanted to go into a STEM major, and we had 4 different categories, one of the category being marine science, and I helped like manage that group and like educate them. We talked a lot about like the dying sea lions and the dolphins and bacteria and how important the kelp is to our ecosystem. And we also like went on a porpoise tour, and we saw a couple of whales and like thousands of dolphins and sea lions, and there was like this huge feeding frenzy. This was like us educating them about the kelp. Here's some more kelp. And then this is where I stayed. I stayed with a host family, the Stearns, and like they had this like garage, but there was like a bedroom down there with like a bathroom, and it was like really nice. I had like my own living quarters, and they had like this really beautiful backyard, and it was like full of like palm trees and like all sorts of different plants and vegetation. Now it's free time. So again, I spent a lot of free time at the beach, swimming, snorkeling. I also learned how to surf while I was there. I also did my friend had like this really cool camera, so I was like trying to take pictures of like all the different sea life we had. We also had this like notorious bluff walk, and it like has like the most beautiful views of the ocean in Santa Barbara. And like, here's just some examples of it. I made friends with this squirrel, and I like pet him, and I named him Sam. We also had, like me and my friend also went down to the Maritime Science Center, and there was like this nudibranch under the microscope here. You can actually see him projected onto the TV. And the lady was like, yeah, never touch these guys because they're venomous. And I was like, oh, I've touched that specific slug like 5 times. So don't touch the slugs, I guess. So advice for future Pinterns, be on time. It's really important to be on time. If you're on time, then that's great, but it's better to be early. And if you're late, it's just unacceptable. You also want to work really hard. It's not like a vacation and a free-for-all. It's also going to be work and education, but it's still going to be fun. Also, you definitely want to network. I have like a bunch of friends now who are going through like all of my college applications and scholarship applications, and they're proofreading everything. And I'm using my mentor as like a guide, and they're a reference, and it's just really great to network. Explore and be open-minded is also another like big thing. You're going somewhere else, you're experiencing a new culture. You should just get involved with it because you're going to be sent home really quickly and time is going to fly by. Another important thing is to ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions, whether it's to your mentor because you don't know how to do something, or if it's a friend, like if you want to hang out. I was really scared to ask all of the undergrads that I was working with to like hang out and stuff until like the last 2 weeks, and I really wish I would have done that sooner. Also, like my first day, I didn't know anyone, and I got like a stomach flu. And I didn't tell anyone, and we were like on the way home, and I had to ride the bus, and then all of a sudden I was like in the middle of the nowhere, and I was sick, and I didn't tell my host family, and I walked like a mile home, and I should have just definitely asked for help in that situation. But it's also important to be prepared. Like, that's another thing. Bring all your stuff you're gonna need. It's better to have extra stuff than not enough stuff. And yeah. Let's see. Oh, okay. I don't know what happened. Okay. I wanted to say thank you to all of the undergrad students and reefers that I worked with, my mentor Scott Simon, the Stern family for hosting me, and then Pinhead and Sarah Holbrook for this amazing opportunity.